Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot for tuning in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Suzie in a matter of moments from the 93.7 The Fan Cam. And there she is, and we're going to be talking about the Pirates here. Give us a call, 412-575-2600. Suzie, Pirates are awful. They stink right now. They got to be the worst team in baseball. It's embarrassing. They've lost 14 of the last 17 games. I don't know what's wrong. I mean, they had a start of 11-5. Their offense looked great, but since that, they've lost 14 of their last 17 games, and in 13 of those games, they scored 2 runs or less. They absolutely stink right now. I don't know what's wrong. They need a spark. They need something. I don't know how they can turn this around.
It's the offense, plain and simple, because if you look at even a game like tonight, the Rockies had 13 hits, but they only generated 3 runs off of those 13 hits. So the defense is obviously doing their job. The pitching staff is obviously doing their job, but the lineup is not. And whenever you look at the qualified starters for the lineup for the Pirates, there are only 2 players, Connor Joe and Hayes, that are batting over 250. So those are guys that are in the lineup almost every single day, and only 2 of them are batting over 250. Your problem is the offense right now, and whenever you have Jack Suzie, everybody is talking about Henry Davis today. Let's look at Jack Suzie. He's only batting 163. And he's almost in the lineup every single day. So the problem is, why is this lineup not generating any offense when they came from spring training when they were really excited about the bats that they were bringing to the table?
Yeah, that's the one thing I know. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, when we first started doing the show together. I was really excited about the offense. It seems like they were putting up 7 runs a game, and I don't know what happened. I can't even put a finger on it. And it seems like when Derek Shelton's asked the question here today, he doesn't even know. It's been a streak that's longer than normal right now that just makes me believe that this offense isn't as good as we were made to believe it was right now. And the pitching staff, I feel bad for guys like Martin Perez. Only gave up 3 earned. This is a winnable game. The Rockies are awful. This was only the 3rd road win. You know, and they've trailed in every single game so far this season, broke a major league record until tonight.
I literally was going to bring up that stat. They've trailed in every single game this season, and then they come out and beat the Pittsburgh Pirates almost 3-0. Thank God for O'Neal Cruz in the bottom of the 9th inning to actually make tonight a little bit interesting. But again, it's just that frustration with the offense. How can they turn this around? Where can that spark come from? Does it come from Andrew McCutchen finally whenever he's DHing? Does it come from Grandal whenever he's finally in the lineup? Who knows? I think it's going to have to be one of those veteran presences that you can implement into the lineup, because if you do look at the Pirates lineup, it is still pretty stinking young, but who's going to do it? I think it has to be somebody with experience, and I think you have to lean on people like McCutchen and Grandal in this situation.
Andrew McCutchen had a chance here to do something in the 8th inning with 2 on, and he struck out. They had an opportunity in the 2nd inning. Jack Suzie, who you brought up, he struck out. Joey Bart struck out. Joey Bart got the start behind the plate. They just called up Grandal, hoping for a spark on offense, throw the guy in the lineup. At least try him out here. You know, the one problem I have right now, they have a different lineup every single day. And I understand they're trying to find a spark, but maybe finding a spark is consistency. You know, I played baseball too, and I didn't make it to the majors, obviously, but you want to know where you're batting all the time. It's comfort. That's what they need right now. I think these guys need to feel comfortable in that lineup.
I like that point that you bring up, Richie. Consistency really is key, and I think that's something that we can talk about even with Henry Davis and what happened with him this season. We blamed Henry Davis not really having the bat that he was supposed to have coming into this organization last year because he wasn't consistently behind the plate or he was playing right field, which isn't his usual position. However, this year he was consistently behind the plate. Now, why wasn't he able to get his bat going if he's playing his natural position? That consistency was there for him. But is he being moved all over the lineup? Again, if this is an inconsistent lineup every single day, how are these guys going to know where they're at? You know, it's even in the field. We're seeing a lot of baseball teams going to having a lot of these utility players. They're playing all over the field, but one night you're playing shortstop, the next you're out in left field. You can never actually get settled into a lineup and a position. So I think it might just be throwing these guys off right now.
All right, we're taking your phone calls tonight, 412-575-2600. Give us a call. Right now, we're taking a break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC tweet of the night. You can see us from Talking Baseball. The Rockies never trailed in tonight's game against Pittsburgh, snapping their Major League Baseball record of 31 games. Unbelievable. Only their third win on the road. The Rockies were the worst team in baseball. Right now, you got to put the Pirates there. They lost to the A's. They lose to the Rockies. It's just not good right now, and it's mainly because they're not hitting. Hey, Susie, I would argue the best thing about tonight's game was watching Pop behind the plate in the seats. Couldn't keep my eyes off of him.
I was anchoring the news here for News Radio KDK, and then finally I got to watch the last couple of innings whenever I was in the 93.7 The Fan studio, and me and Charlie, one of the producers here, we were like, there's Pomp right behind home plate.
Yeah, he's a legend, Pomp. Let's go out to Dave, another legend out on the north side. How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, I like to see the Pirates bring us some good hitters because it's going to be.
They might not have any, Dave. That's the problem. I mean, are we going to bring up Nick Gonzalez? He stunk here earlier.
Our evaluation is so terrible down the minor leagues. What's it going to take? Is it going to take an injury like 3 years ago, bring Brian Reynolds? We didn't even know how good Brian Reynolds was 3 years ago.
And he wasn't even the big part of that deal, Dave. Brian Reynolds, this was like a diamond in the rough kind of guy. But look, I don't even know what you do. They already brought up Grandal. Maybe bring up Gonzalez, right? Triola was the only guy that could hit today, so there's nothing really. Maybe Lamb, but Tellez had a hit today. I just think everyone is mediocre. That is the issue.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to that consistency, but you need that spark, and it's going to have to come from somebody. It can come from one singular person as long as they can get the ball rolling. Grandal might be the answer for this team. Let him play behind the dish. Let him be that veteran presence for all of the pitchers. Let him be the veteran presence in the lineup. Not only will he bring a consistent batting average, hopefully above 250, but he's also going to be able to bring power. I mean, there were 5 out of 6 seasons between 2016 and 2021 that Grandal hit 22 or more homers. Put him in the lineup and see what he can do to try and help this team.
Yeah, and you got to have guys hitting around him too. So one guy can't do it. Everyone's got to catch fire, and that's what they did early in the season to a point. So that's what they got to do here again. I mean, I thought last year was bad when they had a horrible May. This year's worse, and it's come a lot earlier. All right, back out to the phone lines. We got John out in Cranberry. How you doing, John?
Hey, Richie, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Suzie, it's great to see you on here again.
Thank you.
The previous caller stole my thunder. I was just wondering about who we could bring up or anything, but, it's just so frustrating. But I'll talk about something else. I do want to mention the tweet you put up earlier, Richie, about the Todd Reardon firing.
Yeah.
I wanted to get both your and Susie's opinion on it. He's the fall guy, and the power play was historically bad. But do you think there is some maybe internal friction, and do you think there's a possibility that Sullivan could end up in Jersey, or do you think he'll be back next year?
Look, I'm going to be honest. It's just an opinion. I definitely think there is some kind of internal issue. Obviously, when things aren't going well, there's always going to be a battle there potentially. Look, I'm not around the Penguins enough to know, a lot what's going on inside there. Unlike the Steelers, I'm at the Steelers all the time. But the Penguins, I know everyone over there. I've been over there, obviously, and I talk to those guys, but I'm not there daily. And obviously, I'm not there right now, but I can only imagine that something is going on. And when you hear from NHL insiders like Frank Saravelli, it's definitely there's some kind of turmoil. There's something. They're butting heads over something. I mean, Todd Reardon, yeah, he was the fall guy, and he should be. They had the worst power play in the NHL. They were ranked 30th or so, but they're at the bottom. The defense wasn't what it was supposed to be. He's in charge of that. You got to let him go. You got to clean house. It's another team that needs a spark, that needs a change to turn things around.
Do I think there is some internal friction, there's a possibility, but whenever you see Kyle Dubas talk about Mike Sullivan and even FSG, Fenway Sports Management Group, they don't have anything bad to say about Sullivan. They've stuck with him like this entire season, even whenever they were, a little bit rough during the trade deadline, and at the end of the season, whenever they made that great push, they stood behind Sullivan. Dubas has done that since last August. I don't think it's on Dubas' side. Maybe Sullivan is being a little more silent about it. He did want his entire staff to stay, and then this announcement comes out today. However, if I'm Sullivan, I keep my head on a swivel to see not only who they hire for this assistant coaching position. Does it go in the way that Dubas wants it to go or in the way that Sullivan wants it to go? And then also you have to keep an eye on who they hire down in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, because those are the two guys that if next season starts going south for Sullivan, that could be a mid-season move, and either the guy in the AHL, for the head coach guy down there, he's either going to take his place or his new assistant coach.
Well, I mean, he has a new 3-year deal, Sullivan, so I don't see him going anywhere unless he leaves or they mutually part ways. What I do think is weird, look, I've been in the media for a while now, and I've read thousands of press releases, but I thought it was really weird the way this one was worded by the Penguins and Kyle Dubas, because he talked about, after these tweets and people talked about, the coach and the GM are at odds. In the press release, it said basically in a statement that Mike Sullivan was in agreement. They both think it was best in interest of the team. Never have I ever seen something worded like that. So that's what makes me think, and the Penguins are pretty good at PR, and it makes me think that they purposely put that in there to kind of squash that.
Yeah, and you saw, too, I think it was in the same tweet, or at least something that I read today, that Mike Sullivan and Kyle Dubas have been talking for weeks over what they're going to do about this coaching staff. They've reevaluated a lot. They've watched a lot of video. So why did it take so long to come to this decision? Is it, okay, we're going to go Sullivan's way on who we want to hire for the new assistant coaching position, or Dubas just finally made the call and said that they were in agreement? We don't know. We're not behind the closed doors. I'm not at the Penguins every single day. But I would assume that there is some friction going on there. I just don't think it's as crazy as maybe we think. These decisions do just unfortunately have to happen.
That Todd Reardon move should have been made the day after the season was over. I mean, if you're ranked 30th in something in the NHL, you should be fired. Let's go out to Jim and Blum.
Not only that.
How you doing, Jim? Jim?
Hey, guys. The people demanding the Pirates call up players from the minors, I don't think people understand. There's no talent in this organization. You have schemes, and that's it.
Well,
when you have an owner,
Tamir Johnson, I mean, you got some talent. I'm not going to say that. I don't think the minors is void of talent. They got some young pitchers. I think they're going to be good eventually, and I was hoping it was going to be by next year and they were going to show some signs. You would think that Nick Gonzalez would make a stride. Henry Davis would make a stride. That hasn't happened. I don't know if it's bad luck, if it's bad development, if it's just bad picks. But right now, it's not looking promising for the Pirates.
And you have to be a little easygoing whenever it comes to development. I mean, I come from working in the minor leagues for 6 years, and I'll go back to talking about Henry Davis like I was earlier. Henry Davis might have been shoved up to the majors a little too soon because they needed that spark in the lineup last year. So they bring up Henry Davis, and if you look at what he did, he only hit .213. He had 17 extra base hits. Yes, he had 7 homers, so he brought a little bit of the power. However, when you look at his numbers in the minors, he really wasn't in the minors for a full season in 2022 or 2023. So rushing these guys up now just to have them in the lineup to find a spark, I also don't know if that is the right decision either, because that is a really critical time for their development so that they are ready and they are prepared and they don't have a Henry Davis moment when they get to Pittsburgh.
Well, they need to do something, and I'm advocating bringing Paul Skeens up ASAP. I know he's going to pitch in Indianapolis on Sunday, but I'll tell you what, you saw the crowd over there today. They're going to have less and less and less if this keeps going on. Let's go out to Steve in Dormont. How you doing, Steve? Steve? You there?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, Richie?
Hey, what's going on in Dormont?
Well, it's raining here, but my call was a call about the Steelers and the Pirates. But
Okay.
a call about the Pirates. So with O'Neal Cruz, I hope he isn't Gregory Polanco 2.0, but if he is, then like, what's going on in their player development? You know, guys that have such great abilities and are so athletic, and then they just can't put it together to play baseball in the MLB.
Well, Steve, you bring up a good point about development, and Gregory Polanco was under a different regime than O'Neill Cruz. O'Neill Cruz, I know there were talks about him moving out to right field at some point. He didn't want to do it. He wants to be a shortstop. I mean, you see flashes, you see signs, but you know what's worrisome? He strikes out about 40% of the time. That's a huge worry. He struck out in the second inning tonight. He hits that home run. He shows flashes of being a star, but he's not consistent.
Yeah, I was going to say, he has the power, and that's the thing. He has the lack of consistency is my worry with O'Neill Cruz right now. Do I think he's exactly like Gregory Polanco? No, again, that's a completely different story. Gregory Polanco was, you know, not the best outfielder that I've ever seen. He missed a lot of balls whenever he was in right field at PNC Park. But O'Neill Cruz, I think it's just the lack of consistency, and he's either striking out or there are those good moments like in the 9th inning tonight where he hits a home run, but that was needed in the 2nd inning. A strikeout was not. So where is that more consistently?
All right. We have to consistently take breaks on this show, and we got to do one right now, so we'll be back in a couple minutes.